Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP today. Marc Marquez pulled off a surprise win at the San Marino Grand Prix, a victory he admits would have been impossible without the rain that affected the early part of the race. Starting from 9th on the grid after a tough qualifying session, the Gresini rider capitalized on the tricky conditions to secure his second win of the season. Pecco Bagnaia secured a valuable second-place finish at the San Marino Grand Prix, where the unpredictable weather played a crucial role in the race's outcome. The Ducati rider acknowledged that while Marc Marquez took the victory, the rain significantly influenced the race dynamics, giving Marquez an advantage that might not have been there in dry conditions. Jorge Martin's San Marino Grand Prix took an unexpected turn after a strategic error during the flag-to-flag race at Misano. The Pramac rider, who had been running second behind Pecco Bagnaia, made a crucial decision to pit when the rain began, a choice that ultimately cost him valuable points in the MotoGP championship. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez's weekend at Misano didn't start as he had hoped. A crash in Q2 left him starting from a difficult 9th position on the grid, and his performance in the sprint race was only good enough for 5th place. This one was totally unexpected, especially because starting in 9th place, without those drops of rain, it was impossible to fight with the top guys. Quote from Marquez. Marquez's frustration with his qualifying mistake was evident, as it placed him at a significant disadvantage going into the race. The light rain that began falling in the early stages of the race proved to be a game-changer. Marquez, who is known for his ability to adapt to changing conditions, used the rain to his advantage. By lap 8, he had taken the lead from Francessco Bagnaia and never looked back. We knew that our second part of the race was super strong, and for me, the most important thing, one point is to lead the race. But the other point is to open a gap to the world champion and to Pecco, who is super fast here. Marquez's ability to defend against Bagnaia and then extend his lead as the race progressed showcased his skill and racecraft, particularly in challenging conditions. As the rain intensified on lap 7, Jorge Martin made the bold decision to pit for his wet bike. Marquez, however, chose to stay out, a decision that ultimately paid off. He acknowledged that if the rain had worsened, he might have followed Martin's lead, but his instincts told him to stay on track. No, I didn't think about pitting. Of course, at one point if there was one more lap raining like this, then maybe it's time to go in. But especially when I saw that nobody went in and only one rider did, you need to stay out, and this is what I did, Marquez told by Motosan. Marquez's decision-making in the heat of the moment proved crucial, as it allowed him to maintain his position and eventually pull away from the pack. After the race, Marquez reflected on the weekend, acknowledging that his pace was strong throughout but emphasizing the need to improve his qualifying performance to avoid similar challenges in the future. During the whole weekend we had the speed, but we made a mistake in qualifying. It is there that we need to improve in 2 weeks, Marquez concluded. Marquez's ability to turn a difficult weekend around with a win underscores his resilience and determination, but he remains focused on refining his approach to avoid relying on unpredictable factors like weather. Marc Marquez's victory at Misano was a masterclass in adapting to changing conditions and making strategic decisions under pressure. While the rain was a key factor in his win, Marquez's skill and racecraft were on full display as he secured an unexpected but well-deserved victory. As the season progresses, Marquez will be looking to build on this momentum while addressing the areas he identified for improvement. The San Marino Grand Prix was a critical moment in the ongoing battle for the MotoGP title. With Jorge Martin making a crucial error by pitting to change his bike when the rain began, Bagnaia seized the opportunity to close the gap in the championship standings. Despite finishing behind Marquez, Bagnaia cut the deficit to Martin by 19 points, keeping his title hopes alive. In retrospect, yes, but I tried until the end, it wasn't possible, Unfortunately, when it started to rain, I lost a lot of time. I couldn't really understand the conditions when I saw Franco Morbidelli fall," Pecco said. Bagnaia was satisfied with the points he gained but acknowledged that the rain made it difficult to fully exploit Ducati's potential. Bagnaia had to adapt his strategy on the fly as the race conditions changed. When he saw Martin pit, he immediately recognized that his focus needed to shift from winning to securing as many points as possible without taking unnecessary risks. "From the moment I saw Jorge come into the pits, I knew I wasn't going to score points. So from there I changed my strategy and tried to get to the end without taking too many risks, but I tried to win as much as I could," Bagnaia told by Motosan. Bagnaia's ability to adapt to the circumstances allowed him to minimize the damage in the championship standings while still pushing for a strong finish. Bagnaia was critical of Martin's decision to pit, describing it as impulsive. He noted that while the rain was intense at the time, it was not enough to justify the risk of switching to a wet bike. Instead, Bagnaia chose to stay out, a decision that ultimately proved to be the correct one. "Let's say that Jorge was a bit impulsive in that case. But it could have been because it was raining quite a bit on the lap we did. Maybe the fact that Franco crashed had an influence, because we entered the first corner, and he was skidding a lot." Bagnaia himself chose a more conservative approach once he saw that Marquez had passed him. He recognized that trying to overtake Marquez at that stage would have been too risky, especially given the challenging conditions. Bagnaia admitted that Marquez's performance in the tricky conditions was commendable, highlighting that the Spaniard's bravery in those moments made the difference. However, Bagnaia was also dealing with physical limitations, still recovering from a crash at Aragon, which made the race even more challenging for him. "Marquez has been the bravest in those conditions. To beat Marquez today you had to be at 100%, and I wasn't," Bagnaia concluded. Despite these challenges, Bagnaia remains optimistic about the championship battle, noting how quickly the standings can change in MotoGP. He emphasized that Marquez's recent form, along with that of other contenders like Bastianini, keeps the title race wide open. Pecco Bagnaia's second-place finish at Misano was a testament to his strategic thinking and ability to adapt under pressure. While he acknowledges that the rain played a significant role in the race's outcome, he remains focused on the bigger picture, the fight for the MotoGP title. As the season progresses, Bagnaia knows that every point counts and that staying consistent will be key in the final rounds. The Misano GP was marked by unpredictable weather, with rain threatening to disrupt the race. Riders were given the option to switch to rain tires, and Martin was the first to make the call. However, the rain stopped shortly after, leaving the track barely wet and Martin at a disadvantage as he had to pit again to revert to his original setup. "Well, nothing. I made a decision in the race and it is clear that the strategy was not the right one. We have to learn from this, but I still gave my all and I got a point," Martin told by Motosan. Martin's decision to pit early backfired as the conditions improved, leaving him to rejoin the race from the back and finish in a disappointing 15th place. Despite the setback, he remains optimistic and focused on learning from the experience. Martin recognized that a more conservative approach, similar to Bagnaia's, would have been the wiser choice. Instead, he aimed to win the race, a strategy that, in hindsight, did not align with the race conditions. "I have done more strategy thinking about winning the race, and maybe in this situation I should have done what my main rival, Pecco, does. I know that, I have accepted it. There is no point in going on about it." Despite his mistake, Martin emphasizes the importance of staying in the championship fight and learning from errors. He acknowledges that the lead in the standings can fluctuate rapidly, but remains confident in his abilities and determination to compete until the end. Martin is not overly concerned about losing points to Bagnaia, understanding that the dynamics of the championship can change quickly. He is focused on continuous improvement, and believes that his speed and resilience will keep him in contention for the title. "One day you are plus 26, another day you are plus 7, another day you are minus 12. So, the important thing is to always be in the fight, to improve from mistakes. That is my objective, to improve, to learn. Martin's optimism is evident as he looks ahead, confident that he will remain a strong contender in the championship race. He also acknowledges the resurgence of Marc Márquez, who has secured back-to-back victories, putting him back in the title hunt. Martin has never underestimated his competitors, understanding that as long as there are mathematical possibilities, the title race remains open. He notes the strength of several riders, including Márquez, and remains prepared for the challenges ahead. I have never taken anyone out of the equation. There are several of us who are strong, and as long as there are mathematical options, everything is possible. Martin concluded. Jorge Martin's strategic error at Misano was a significant learning moment in his MotoGP season. While the decision cost him points in the standings, Martin remains focused on the bigger picture, the championship fight. His ability to learn from mistakes and his confidence in his speed and skill will be crucial as the season progresses. With rivals like Bagnaia and Márquez in the mix, Martin knows that every race counts, and he is determined to stay in the fight until the very end. Thanks for watching ZNGP today. This is your MotoGP news update. See you in the next video.